All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Daily Dimensions podcast. As always, I am your host, Smitty, back with another one. And I'm excited to bring out this episode. This is the episode that was promised. 2 episodes ago, I talked to y'all about how, I fasted for 3 days. And I was like, bro, it was an experience. A lot happened. I learned a lot. I found out a lot about myself. I felt really close to God. It was an experience. And then I said I would do that the next episode. In the next episode, we talked about something else. And in that episode, I said, this is going to be the episode where we finally talk about the fast. So we're talking about the fast, ladies and gentlemen. And the beauty of it is, let me make sure, right? Because last episode, I forgot to hit record on the camera. We was recorded the audio. The audio was smooth, right? Voice silky, sent from above, right? Audio was perfect. I never hit record. I got my little monitor right here next to me and I could start recording from this monitor that's next to me. Never hit the button. So now I'm double checking. Okay, we're actually recording. It's lit. It's lit. I don't got to restart and do this over again. But before we get into the episode, also, you see the hoodie, right? God's favor, right? It's more on the back of the hoodie. I'm not turning around for y'all. If you are someone who is looking for faith-based apparel, we talking hoodies, track suits, hats, beanies, necklaces, jewelry, all of that. If you are someone who's looking for that, look no further than ubgclothing.com. And if you use my promo code daily15, you will get 15% off of your order. Run, don't walk. Go get it. All right, drippy. Now, all that aside, let's get into the episode. So I want to start off just explaining to you all why I fast, why we as believers fast, and the importance of it, just so we have a little understanding, right? We'll get into the background, then we'll get into my experience. So part of why we fast, right, is to humble yourself before God. It's very easy as individuals to try to do a lot of things in our own strength. And when you fast, it requires you to rely on God's strength to continue to move forward, because you're completely disconnecting from your flesh and reconnecting to the spirit. And we'll explain more of that as we move forward. But it humbles you before God, which is extremely important. We fast for spiritual strength, right? We fast to seek God more closely. If there's ever been a moment in your life, right, where you're walking with God, but you feel distant from him. I feel like I haven't heard from him in a while. I feel like I'm just out here winging it. I feel like I'm lost. I feel like I don't have a sense of direction. I feel like, I say I'm a believer, but I don't feel like a believer. Fast. It will bring you back. It will reconnect you. It's a great tool. It's the tool. I swear by it. And we also fast for breakthrough, right? You feel like you're running up against the wall. You feel like you need breakthrough. You feel like you're in a tough situation. You're in a tight spot. You don't necessarily know where to go, where to seek help. Our help comes from above. You can seek God for breakthrough through fasting. So those are the reasons why I do it. Those are the reasons why a lot of us do it. There are more reasons to it than that, but those are some of the basic reasons, tongue-tied here, some of the basic reasons that we fast, just so you have an understanding. What was different this time is the fast that I engaged in. So what I'm used to doing, and there's numbers of ways you can fast. There's different ways to approach fasting. It doesn't all look entirely the same. Some of it can be extremely intimidating. Some of it can feel a little less intimidating. So 2 years ago, is it 2 years ago? 3 years ago? No, two. I'm getting old. 2 years ago, I started fasting in January, right? And I did it for 7 days, sun up to sundown, no food, no water. Cool. Last year, I did it for 31 days. I did all of January, no food, no water, sun up to sundown. That was quite the challenge. This year I did it. I made it to like day 8. Then I started getting sick. I had migraines and I was like, I can't move forward. You start getting sick, it's okay to cut the fast. Don't feel like a failure. You're not supposed to be doing it. If you're sick, you might die back. Don't kill yourself trying to fast. That's not the way you want to go out. But, getting in towards the tail end of this year, I was in sabbatical season, and that's when I try to seek God more closely. I try to reconnect, recharge, get my mind right, finish the year strong, all of those things. We locked in. And I said, you know what? I want to fast this month. And I said, I want to take it in a new direction. So I said, let me tap into an Esther fast, right? Some people very close to me have done it on multiple occasions. And I said, more power to you, because I don't want to do that. That sounds painful. But the way it works is it's no food, no water for 3 days straight. Right. And it's different than what I was doing, because I was doing sun up to sundown. When the sun went down, I ate food. You know what I'm saying? I was straight. I said, I just got to thug it out till a certain time. And when that sun go down, trust me, the food was already cooked. It was just waiting for me to eat it, dog. I was ready. So it was challenging still. Right. But it was easier than what I found myself doing now. And I modified it a little bit because I need to stay hydrated. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. And after my experience earlier this year, getting migraines and all that other stuff, when I was fasting, I was like, let me approach it a little bit different. So I modified it. Does that make it less effective? Absolutely not. Does it make it to the T what Esther did, right? And if you go read Esther, especially starting in chapter 4 and read it to the end, it'll explain the fast in entirety. But her and her people fasted 3 days, no food, no water. I'm like, oh, you got a bunch of people to do this with you? That's crazy. I could see just one person doing it, but you got everybody to do it with you? That's gangster. But it also shows the power of community, right? It shows how powerful the fast is, but it also shows the power of community and people intercessing with you, people fasting with you, people approaching God on your behalf, pleading with God on your behalf. All of that is extremely important. And I don't want to lose that at all in this message, but I didn't even write that part down, but that's extremely important. Godly community is everything, right? Because she could have fasted on her own, but she encouraged her community to do it with her. She said, y'all do it and I'm gonna do it with y'all. Bang. And everything worked out. But definitely go read the book of Esther. It's not a crazy long book in the Bible. If you start in chapter 4, it explains a lot of everything that I'm saying, but read the entire thing. But yeah, so I modified it. I have fluids, right? Did I go out here and drink smoothies? No, I felt like smoothies was cheating because that's just mushed up fruit, in a liquid form. I felt like I was still eating fruit at that point. But I was drinking tea. I would have tea for breakfast and a inshore for dinner. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I need the vitamins in my body. I feel like if I don't get this nutritional intake, I might die. But leading into the fast, part of what I wanted to do it for was, again, reconnecting, but just to finish the year strong, get closer to God in a new way. I want to continue to grow my faith in a lot of ways. And I felt like this was a way to do it, but also just asking God for breakthrough, kind of like what we said in the beginning. If you're expecting for breakthrough and pushing for breakthrough, fasting is a way to do it. So those were my reasons. And, I modified it a little bit. And again, it's still effective. It's just not to the T what she did. But approaching day one, right? Leading up to day one and then into day one of the fast, I experienced a lot of fear, right? A lot of people be like, oh, you about to fast. Why are you afraid? Right? You're doing something for God. Why are you afraid? Doing things for God is extremely scary because I look at my earthly limitations and I'm like, God, I'm going to fail you. And quite literally, I was afraid to fail. And I was like, man, okay, if I do this, what happens if I get to day 2 and I'm starving? Or what happens if I get another migraine and I feel like I got to eat something? Or, what if I'm tempted too far and then I messed the whole thing up and now I look like a fool in front of God because I failed. And there was tons of fear centered around this whole thing, man. And I was like, man, I'm afraid. But in life, you have to do things afraid anyway, right? Fear can't be a reason that you don't do something because you're not going to do many things in life if you wait until you're extremely confident to do it. You do it and you become more confident because you're doing it. But if you're waiting to feel like an expert or waiting to feel super confident or waiting to feel like you know it all and got it all together and you're capable right now, no, sometimes you feel called to do something and you have to step in to do it, even when you're not afraid, and God will continue to qualify you along the way, and you'll gain that experience along the way. You'll gain the strength along the way, and he will sustain you. And that's kind of the whole point of the fast, is that in my own capabilities, I don't feel like I can do it, but through him, I'm able to do it. So I felt a ton of fear, and I was like, man, and I was dreading it too. I was supposed to do it probably when the month started. I waited until close to the end of the month to do it. And man, I was pushing it, but I finally did it. And day one, I experienced a lot of fear for all of the reasons that I'm explaining to you. And fear has a way of really immobilizing people. Fear is one of those things that can render you ineffective. You can walk around and say, yeah, I'm a believer and I love God and I'm on fire for God. But if you're riddled with fear, you will be a truly ineffective believer. And sometimes, we don't have, like, the enemy don't got to stop you from being a Christian. He don't got to stop you from loving God. All of that is cool. He just has to render you ineffective, right? It's one thing to have a position. It's another thing to have a title. It's another thing to have some sort of anointing and calling on your life. But if you are gripped with fear and never move in any of it, it means nothing. You can have the CEO of your company or your supervisor at your job, the boss at your job, has all the titles, right? Gets the salary, gets paid more than you. They may have a parking spot in front of the building that says so-and-so parks here. And they have everything that says they should be in control and should be effective and should be in charge and should be, getting it done. But then you get into the workplace and this leadership is absolutely ineffective, right? And everything else suffers. The workplace suffers. You don't like going to work. You're a disengaged employee, whatever it may be. It's one thing to have a title. It's one thing to have authority. It's another thing to be effective. You can have all the title and all the authority and be ineffective, and then it means nothing. And that's the last thing you want to be as a believer, is someone who, yeah, I love God. I was baptized. I did this. I did that. Look at me. And you're ineffective and you're not doing nothing. And I didn't want to be ineffective. So even though I was afraid, I said, I'm doing this anyway. And that was day one. And boy, day one was easier than I thought it would be, even though I was afraid. And I said, okay, it's hard. Not as hard as I thought it would be. This is going to be fine. We got this. And boy, we was praying every day. We was locked in. I swear me and Jesus was like this for sure. And then we get to day two. And day two is when the struggle really got real. Day two is when God had to show up for me in a way, because I said, I'm not going to make it. I said, I'm hungry. I'm starting to smell colors. I'm seeing spots. It's getting crazy in here. I'm starving. And then, my mother knows I'm fasting, right? And she asked me to go to the grocery store for her. And as a man who hasn't ate now in almost 2 days, 48 hours, ain't eat nothing. I miss food. You know what I'm saying? And she said, can you go to the grocery store for me and go get me some stuff? Now I said, all right, Mom, let's go do it. Sure. And I'm in there and I'm looking at all the food, and food never looked so good in my life. And then I'm driving down the street, and as you driving down the street, it's all the fast food places and they smell amazing. I drove past Burger King, right? And Burger King, they say they flame broil their burgers and they got the smoke coming out the top of the building. And I said, oh my goodness, a Whopper with cheese smell amazing, right? I was struggling, bro. I said, God, I'm about to pull over right now and go get a $5 meal or something. I need help. It was rough. And I'm in that store and I'm standing in line checking out. And of course the line going to be long. So now I'm in here longer staring at this food. And I'm like, nah, just get a candy bar or something to take that, just a little something to take the edge off. You know what I'm saying? And it took everything in me not to fail. It took God sustaining me not to fail. It took him literally having to take the hunger from me. I'm like, God, help me, give me the strength, take this hunger from me, help me to get to the end of the day so I can just go to sleep and not feel hunger anymore. I looked forward to going to sleep because I was like, man, I won't be hungry no more if my eyes is closed. It was a rough time, bro. And, we made it through day two, and I go to sleep that night and I had a dream. And unfortunately, I don't remember the dream, but I don't dream often. And when I do, it's always something that there might be some meaning there. And then I try to write it down. If not, I'll forget it. And this was one of those ones where I didn't remember what happened, but I remember how I felt. And I woke up smiling. And that's a unique scenario. I woke up feeling joy in a way that I had not felt in a very long time. I woke up just feeling so joyful. And I'm like, nah, this has to be the joy that comes from the Lord that everybody be talking about. I said, this feels different. I ain't never woke up. I woke up on the right side of the bed. He said, yo, side, right side, left side of the bed. I woke up on the right side of the bed. Gee, I felt good. And I was grateful for it, because to be able to feel that level of joy is truly a gift, right? There's so many people out there in the world who lack joy, right? You may feel happy for a moment, but joy is a persistent thing. And so many people don't get to experience that on a regular basis or feel that. And I woke up feeling so much joy, just happy, just floating through the day. You ever had them days and you feel like you just floating? Like you just walking on clouds or something? I don't know why this body movement is floating, but this is floating right here. And it just felt really good. And I made it to the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? It got to midnight. Midnight was a new day. And I broke my fast and I ate some food. And I swear to you, I could have cried when I ate that first bite. I could have cried, Joe, because I ate that food. I was in my kitchen and then I started smiling. I said, hit one of these, just man, God is good. I was so excited because I was like, man, I can finally eat again. But two, because I was like, wow, Jordan, you made it. And all that fear I experienced in the beginning on the what if I didn't do it? What if I couldn't make it? What if this happened? What if that happened? But, well, what if you succeeded? And succeeded I did. You know what I'm saying? What if you succeed? And succeeded I did. And it's because God was with me the entire time. So if you're looking at anything in your life and you're like me at moments where you're like, man, okay, well, what if this doesn't go right? And, well, what about this? And is this even real? And how does this work? And I don't even know. And I just don't want to fail. I don't want to mess up. I don't know. And you just throw your hands up and you're like, I don't know. In the midst of that confusion and the I don't know and I'm just not sure and I don't want to fail is God waiting for you to say, hey, you know what? I do feel this way, but I trust you more than I trust how I feel about the situation. And that's the deepening of your faith. It's like, you know what, God, although I feel all these things, I'm going to trust you. Although I feel all these things, I know your way is better. And although I feel all these things and I think I will fail, I know you can't fail. So if I do it by myself, I might fail. I'll keep it stacked. I might fail. But if I do it with you, everything is going to be okay. And that's the differentiator, right? You can only do but so much in your own strength. We have only but so much ability as human beings on this earth. But when you get connected to that man upstairs, all right, you can do anything. You start turning unstoppable. So that was the beauty of it. But then what was a unique experience? And I was like, oh, this is crazy, was the level of separation I felt from God after I started to eat again. And in the midst of me fasting, I knew God was sustaining me, but I didn't know how much I was really just wrapped up in his presence and how much he was really carrying me through. Because in the midst of me fasting and connecting to God and praying and all these different things, it was like, man, did I feel hungry at times? Yes, but I was never tempted beyond what I could handle. And I was like, you know what, God, you got me. He carried me through. He helped me to sleep. He got me through the difficult times. He got me through the grocery store. All of these things where I felt like I could fail. He kept me strong. And then when I started to eat again, it was as if eating reconnected me to my flesh. I think it took me out of the spirit. It took me away from God and reconnected me to my flesh. And I could feel the difference, like almost in a physical sense. I could feel it felt as though God had left me. And even though I know he's always there, it felt like the dynamic had shifted. It's almost like I was saying to somebody, like in the Garden of Eden, right? After Adam and Eve ate the fruit, the level of separation they felt. It's like their eyes was wide open, and then they realized they were naked and all these different things. And it's like, but that oneness they had with God was no longer. The dynamic shifted, because now they're like connected to their flesh, whereas before they were 1000% connected to the spirit. And now it's like, it dropped a degree, because now we're connected to our flesh because we gave into it. And now it's something as simple as eating reconnected me back to my flesh. And I said, oh, I don't like how this feels. You know what I'm saying? And then when I was fasting, I didn't experience any sort of anxiety. I didn't experience any sort of depression. I didn't experience any sort of lust or anything like that. And then once I ate, and some time went by, immediately it felt like all of those things came back in, and I was really aware of the world again. And I was less in tune with the spirit and more in tune with the world. And it just shows how powerful these kinds of things are. But if you never have that experience of fasting to be able to experience the spirit in that way, the world just feels normal to you and you don't even know what's happening. But there's so much that happens in our lives that is bigger than just what we can see, and it happens in a spiritual sense. But if you don't take the time to get connected in that way, you won't even understand it. It may feel like I'm speaking a foreign language to some of y'all, but for the ones that get it, y'all get it. And it's just so empowering, fasting, because it connects you to God in a way that you can't even put into words, but when you experience it, you know it. And then once you experience it, it's hard to ever try to live life a different way again without it. It's just that beautiful. It's just that powerful. It's just that important. And as I was sharing, me fasting with one of my friends, we had a great, literally this conversation I'm having with y'all, I had with her. I was like, yo, I got to talk to you. And I called her. She was at a birthday party, and I'm like, cool. She was like, it's a birthday party. That's not a birthday party. I said, whatever that means. And then she called me back. We talked about it. And then, fast forward, then she get her mom on the phone, me, her and her mom kicking it, talking on the phone and talking about fasting. And I was like, this isn't the kind of conversation I expected. But it was a beautiful conversation. And there's something special about how when you share this stuff with other people, how it can impact other people around you, right? Like, it's so important to talk about God. And I used to be someone who could not do that, would not do that, was afraid to do that, because I'm like, what if people don't accept me? But I don't need y'all to accept me because I'm already accepted. And it's a beautiful thing to live in a world where you're not looking for people's acceptance and you're not bound by people's thoughts and opinions of you, but you're held to a different standard, a godly standard, and that's what you approach. It's a beautiful thing. But sharing this stuff is so important, which is why oftentimes I find myself doubling back and doing like a faith-based episode, even though this isn't what you would consider a faith-based podcast, but it's faith all through this thing. And mental health, faith, personal growth and development, I feel like they're all intertwined, because that's what my life embodies. You know what I'm saying? So everything that you hear in this podcast is just pieces of my life, and it's impacted people on a global scale. And I hope it continues to impact you. So that is the episode, ladies and gentlemen. Again, if you want this hoodie that you see your boy got on and all the other stuff we got, go to ubgclothing.com. That's usedbygodclothing.com. Use code daily15 for 15% off. Please share this video with somebody you love. Share it with somebody at your church, whoever may be, your pastor, your bishop, your auntie, your uncle, and your baby moms. Share the video, like, comment, subscribe on the YouTube, and we'll see y'all next time. Peace.